We need to talk about how Tom Holland Spider-Man is the chosen one.
Where were you? Photographing squirrels? You're fired.
What?
I'm being completely serious, guys. There are massive rumors about how Tom Holland Spider-Man is the MCU chosen one. He is the focus of Avengers 5 and 6, and he is the key to saving the entire multiverse. And I think it was set up by the spell at the end of No Way Home. And so in this video, I'm gonna break down this entire theory and explain why this is likely years in the making. And yes, it will result in Tom Holland Spider-Man being the chosen one of the entire Marvel multiverse. Let's go. So I think the first place to start in this video is to talk about the evidence for Tom Holland being the chosen one. Of course, many scoopers and insiders have been saying this lately, but it all started when My Time to Shine Hello first reported that Tom Holland was going to be the lead of Avengers 5. Now, at the time, that was going to be the Kang dynasty, and since then, multiple others have reported that this is connected to Tom Holland being the chosen one, and that it has to do with the multiverse collapsing. I've heard this explained to me in different ways, but it all has to do with the TVA and the multiverse collapsing and the TVA's plan to save the multiverse. According to the rumors, the TVA is doing two things while Loki holds the multiverse together. Number one, they are doing a sort of Noah's Ark thing where they're going to try to grab up different heroes from different universes, and this is to sort of save those heroes for the one singular universe that's going to exist after all the multiverse is destroyed. But apparently they are also secretly recruiting a multiversal group of Avengers. Now, the details on this are kind of vague, and again, I've heard it both ways. Like, we originally heard it was all about this Noah's Ark thing, then all of a sudden there were these reports that they're trying to build up a multiversal group of Avengers to fight against Kang, and I think we're gonna get a lot of clarity on that in Deadpool 3. It's possible we'll get some clarity in some of the trailers, but we'll definitely understand what this means once Deadpool 3 actually releases later this year. So that's one piece of this pie, but I also want to talk about how this has probably been Kevin Feige's plan for a long time. In her new book, The Reign of Marvel Studios, Joanna Robinson talks about how Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, and Black Panther were going to be the new faces of the MCU post-Endgame. We've talked about this before, but basically Feige knew he had a bunch of veteran actors hanging up the jersey, and he needed really good actors to replace them. He wanted new faces for the MCU, and those were going to be Chadwick Boseman as the Black Panther, Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, and Tom Holland as Spider-Man. And we also know that in 2019, it shocked Feige when Sony basically took Spider-Man back. And at that San Diego Comic-Con presentation in 2019, they left off a lot of Phase 4 from the slate because Sony had kind of pulled the rug out from under them, and Feige had to kind of recalibrate. Now, of course, Marvel and Sony end up figuring that out, and they end up collaborating on Spider-Man No Way Home. But I think the whole reason that that deal came together and that it was so important for Feige and for Tom Holland is because Tom Holland had already known how big of a deal he was going to be for Marvel moving forward. I also think this is why Feige went so hard on Spider-Man No Way Home. I mean, it's pretty obvious that the events of No Way Home are huge for the multiverse saga and for the lead up to Secret Wars, but this was a really big movie that Feige put a lot of effort and work into, and it was always linked to Multiverse of Madness. Now, originally, Multiverse of Madness was going to come out first, and there's concept art that shows Spider-Man having interactions with America Chavez in Spider-Man No Way Home. And so it's pretty obvious that the link between Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and the multiverse was a very important piece of this story that he's trying to tell within the multiverse. And I even think the spell itself, right? That thing that happens at the end where all of the people are coming through the multiverse and they makes the entire multiverse forget who Peter Parker is. It feels like that's a massive deal, and a lot of people pointed at that as a huge thing that probably started the collapse of the entire multiverse. And in fact, I believe that Clea approaching Doctor Strange at the end of the movie and telling Doctor Strange that he created an incursion, yeah, I think that has to do with the spell he cast at the end of No Way Home. I think that's the whole thing. It collapsed the multiverse. It's causing that incursion, and that's why Clea needs Doctor Strange to go try to fix it. So the main thing to keep in mind here is that there's a lot of evidence to suggest that these seeds had been planted long ago and that Tom Holland Spider-Man was always going to be a huge deal for the multiverse saga. And the newer reports about Tom Holland Spider-Man being the focus of Avengers 5 and 6 and being the chosen one and being like super important to the entire multiverse, well, that all corroborates the evidence from before. It all just fits together and makes me think that yes, Tom Holland Spider-Man, very important to the multiverse, and they've been planning that for years. But before we talk about what I think the spell actually did to Peter, which is frankly fascinating, we need to first talk about the rumors of the villain for Secret Wars, because this is going to help us understand why Peter 1 is so important to this whole thing. So the rumored villain for Secret Wars is the Beyonder, but this is also supposed to be a Kang variant that becomes the Beyonder. Not only is that crazy, but the timing of when that scoop came out is really important. Beyonder, as the villain of Secret Wars, came out at the very same time that it came out that Tom Holland was going to lead the Kang dynasty. And the Beyonder is a ridiculously powerful being who can literally bend reality to his very will. Like, it's actually crazy to even think about how powerful this dude will be, and I honestly don't see a way the Avengers can even fight against him. And it seems like that is a question and or a problem that has always been on their minds, and the solution to that is Tom Holland. Okay, so now let's pull this all together and let's talk about what happened with the spell at the end of No Way Home. During the events of Spider-Man No Way Home, they are trying to cast a spell that would make everybody on Earth forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And this is, of course, because Mysterio revealed Peter Parker's identity to the world, and that causes a bunch of problems for Peter. Doctor Strange is casting the spell, but while he is casting it, Peter's trying to get him to adjust it or to change it, because he actually wants certain people to remember that he's Spider-Man, but everyone else to not. Now, the spell ends up breaking, and it ends up calling villains from throughout the multiverse to our universe. Basically, any villain out there that knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man is being called into 616. And at the very end of the movie, the entire multiverse is breaking. An infinite amount of villains from throughout the multiverse are coming into 616. And so in order to prevent them from coming in and breaking all of reality, they cast a spell that makes everybody forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. But it wasn't just the people on Earth, it was everyone and everything in the multiverse. And so not only did Peter likely get every single variant of every single person within the multiverse to forget that he is Peter Parker, but he probably got all of the cosmic entities and maybe the multiverse itself to forget that he's Peter Parker. And so let's take it back to the Beyonder Kang. If the Beyonder Kang returns to the multiverse from the Beyondverse and has almost unlimited power, he would likely use different facets of the universe itself as mechanisms to use his power. So he'll be able to manipulate matter, manipulate people, and manipulate basically everything, but he will still have to loosely follow the principles and the mechanics of the actual multiverse. Part of me thinks he might still not be able to change certain events from happening, these fixed moments in time. And in order to do that, the Beyonder himself might have to destroy eternity within the multiverse to be able to change that, because all time and everything that's ever happened makes up eternity, right? So this was something that happened in the 2015 Secret Wars. When the Beyonders come in to the actual universe, They destroy the cosmic entity. They slaughter the in-betweener. They destroy the living tribunal. They kill eternity. They kill all of the cosmic entities that have the power to control certain aspects of reality within the multiverse. And so I think something like that might be happening as well, where the Beyonder will come in, he will try to destroy eternity, he will utilize his abilities to manipulate the multiverse to do all sorts of crazy things, but he might not be able to do anything to Peter Parker because the entire multiverse has forgotten who Peter is. It's a little bit similar to the way that Loki in Loki season 2 is detached from time so that he can just stand in certain moments as time is being destroyed around him and he isn't destroyed because he is kind of unlinked from time. I imagine the spell at the end of No Way Home may well unlink Peter Parker from all of reality. I mean, think about it. If you're the Beyonder and you come into the universe and there are all these Avengers that are going to try to fight against you, would you not freeze time, look into the sort of data banks or the knowledge base of the universe itself, discover who each and every one of these people are, and then destroy them accordingly? And would you not be able to sense where all of those beings are in all times because they are intrinsically connected to the multiverse, which you now have complete control and power over? But I think because the universe itself doesn't remember Peter Parker, the Beyonder might not be able to sense him. He might not be able to destroy him using stuff that would be like the connective power of the universe itself to each and every being. Tom Holland Spider-Man may well be untethered from all aspects and mechanics of the entire multiverse, which are still things that the Beyonder will have to use and follow. Perhaps that in of itself will allow Peter to be able to jump through different universes and maybe recruit other members, or maybe it will just literally give Peter the ability to actually be able to hurt the Beyonder and to be able to do things that the Beyonder cannot prevent. His ability to move undetected across realities could enable him to execute surprise attacks, gather crucial information, or even find objects of power that are needed to defeat the Beyonder. If the Beyonder's powers are similar to the spell from No Way Home, then Peter's experience with such things could be critical in understanding and being able to counter them. Maybe Peter 1 has a paradoxical state of being now, which would allow him to take actions and basically be unrecognizable to the sort of collective consciousness of the multiverse itself. And again, I think this is all being done intentionally. I think Feige had some kind of an idea for this when he was coming up with ideas for Spider-Man No Way Home. And I think this is a through line that is going to be fascinating to explore as we see not only Spider-Man 4, but as we see Avengers 5 and 6, which again, Tom Holland is supposed to be the focus of both of those two movies. Let me know what you think about this crazy theory. And as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.